Hello, how
Hello.
are you?
All right, how are you?
Good. Um, so obviously you've been working with me for how long now? 12 weeks, 11,
About
this is,
11, 12 weeks now.
yeah. And so I just thought I'd get you on to have a little chat and see how you found it, what you've changed in your body and like training wise, diet wise, and everything like that. But before we go into that, just tell me a little bit about yourself, just so that people know like who you are, and maybe like how old, age, jobs, kids, etc.
Okay. Okay, so my name is Andrena. I'm 38, I think. I'm lying about that quite a lot so anymore. I'm a hairdresser. Obviously not just now, given the way things are, but that is my job.
Yeah.
I have got a little boy who is 6. He joined myself and my husband last year. We've adopted him, so we've just been kind of thrown in at the deep end. So life can be a little bit stressful with that sometimes, as it can be.
Yep.
Obviously life in general can, depending on what you're doing. So yeah, that's me.
Good. And how have you found lockdown?
I've actually found it quite useful, to be totally honest, because it has actually given me a minute to stop and think. Not a lot of people.
Bit more time.
It's given me a wee chance to organise myself and get kind of on top of everything and kind of look to see what's important and things like that. Because I think sometimes you're so caught up in stuff you can't possibly see what's going on. But it's just been like, boom, there you go, have a look. And I've taken the chance, and there's been days where I've been like, oh my god, what am I going to do today? But it's I found it all right. It's good.
Bit more time with family.
Definitely. Bit more time on everything. Absolutely everything. That's good.
And you got a different job for that time?
Yeah, I did. I decided that I couldn't sit about for too long, so I decided to go into Tesco's, and I was a picker for I think it was about 10 weeks, which was fine. It was fine. It got me out the house and kind of got me out there, kind of helping a little bit as well, which was kind of good.
Yeah.
Definitely not going to be my career change. I think anybody who knows me knows I love my job far too much to be doing something like that. But yeah, it was all right. It served its purpose, so it was fine.
Not enough people to chat to.
Well, you're not allowed to really in lockdown. You've got to keep moving. You're tucking away. So
yeah. So what were you there for? 10 weeks?
Yeah, it was 10 weeks, I think.
Cool. And that helped you move a bit more, did it? Give you a focus as well?
Absolutely. It gave you a purpose to have to get up in the morning. Obviously, you have that if you've got kids anyway, but it gave a purpose to get moving, not sit about all day, not sit there going, I'll do it in 10 minutes, I'll do it later, I had to get up, I had to go to work.
Yeah.
I mean, you're running about really, really quickly, because obviously everybody's wanting kind of shopping and stuff like that because they can't leave the house or whatever, they're shielding, whatever. So you're kind of the one that's having to do this in a time scale, which I quite like that. I like being pushed and challenged.
Gives you a certain amount of time to do it.
Aye, they'd like dawdling about, and it's fine, and it did get you moving. And these carts are heavy when they start getting juicing stuff in them. So I actually
training before the training.
Aye, totally. I walk about Tesco's now with my own wee trolley, and it's like, this is nothing.
Cool. So I think this is week 12, isn't it? That you're just, well, I think it is. We're on Wednesday today.
Yeah.
So what month was it you would have started then? It would have been March. Is that right?
Kind of like Easter weekend, worst weekend of the time
Easter
ever.
Weekend. Yeah, I think it was that, wasn't it? Straight into the Easter eggs.
Chocolate.
So before you started, what would you say you were struggling with?
I think everything was a bit like a kind of brain fog. I had a wee bit of knowledge behind me, whether it had been right wrong at the time. I did have a wee bit of knowledge behind me, but it's like nothing could piece together to actually work. There was always like part of it that was out of sync with another part of it, and something just never ever worked. And it always just led to me never really achieving what I want to achieve, getting where I want to get. Never been able to kind of see a change. Like, you'll get lots of people that'll be like, oh, you've really changed. Obviously, in my line of work as well, people don't see me for 6, 8
yeah.
so they can see a little difference, but it was never that way where I was like, yeah, do you know what? I'm actually doing something
really
here.
Yeah.
So it was as if, like, it was just like a muddled up jigsaw that just didn't work, and I needed something to make it work. So.
Okay, and what was like your training like, diet like, mindset, stress maybe? What's that sort of stuff like? Training wise, what?
Training, I'm not lazy. I'm not a lazy person, but I was probably just not doing consistently what was right for like kind of me and what I was eating and like nutritionally wise and things like that. Maybe even just kidding myself on a little bit and kind of just telling myself it was enough when maybe it wasn't, or thinking that because I can lift a certain weight, I'm really, really tough and I'm going to lose loads of weight. Not at all. You learn that quite quickly. It's not at all that.
Okay.
But that's probably what I was kind of focusing more on, like thinking that that's important. And then even with food and nutrition, it was always that kind of, I don't know how to describe it. You know what you should be eating, so you go absolutely mental. You eat these right things, you do it, and you last about a fortnight, and then you're like, do you know what, I'm really hungry. And then you just start eating whatever you can get your hands on, and you forget to stop that part as well. So
so you're like more, well, training wise, you've got your own sort of gym stuff, don't you? You've got like a bar, some dumbbells, and what else, like a squat rack and stuff like that. So you're pretty well equipped in that front. And nutrition wise, so that sounds like you were going from like 0 to 100 for a couple of weeks, going like 100% with the diet, and then just being like, nah, I can't do this anymore, and then just stopping. So it was more like a stop start rather than like just being consistent with it. So that makes sense. And stress wise, would you say you were, how would you rate your stress out of 10 before you started? Would you say you were?
I was probably, I can get quite stressed quite easily. Like, I don't take a minute sometimes to think about the fact that it's not that bad. I'm very much like 0, 100, and then I'll slowly come back down and think about it. But I usually stay like kind of 70. So at the kind of time of lockdown hitting and things like that, I had quite a lot going on. Like I said, I was obviously trying to sort out the fact that Barry was here. I had at the time salon, things like that, and I had to try and decide what was important and how I wanted everything to be, and there was a lot going on. So quite stressful.
So quite stressed. Okay, cool. So why did you sort of first message me? Like, you messaged me before, a while before. I think it was a year before, wasn't it? I think it was like sort of Easter time 2019 that you first messaged.
I just wanted to, like, I don't know, it's really difficult, right? You see loads of results and things and you think, do you know what, that's great. He must be absolutely brilliant. He's got this all going on, so let's do that. That'll be fine. And the more I kind of read, I kind of talked myself out of it a little bit as well, because I was like, no, I don't want to go to a gym. No, I can't face doing that. I'm really, really nervous about these things. I'm not somebody who's really bothered about what other people thinks. Like, to walk into a gym is nothing to do with anybody else. Like, I'm not one of these people that would be like, oh my God, are they looking at me? It's not at all that. It's just, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to go in the gym. I'd rather just do it my own, so that there's no comparison to anybody else to see who's important or anything. So I kind of managed to kind of talk myself out of doing it, because I just presumed that that's the way that it was to be done, and you had to go into the gym, you had to go and do this, you had to go and do that. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. It's fine, it doesn't matter. And I just left it. And then you kind of fast forward a year, and I left it, and I was like, oh, come on, I'm still looking like this got worse. And it almost was a wash. I was really disappointed in myself. I thought, I keep trying here, obviously something's not working here. So that's kind of why I got in touch again. I'd spoke to other people who had actually used you, and they're like, well, I didn't necessarily have to go to the gym. I could do this, and I was told if I do this, and I'm kind of looking at them going like, I don't know. But then,
still not sure.
Everybody deserves to get like a chance and everything, and you never know. I'm definitely happy to hear what somebody's got to say and stuff like that, which is out to be a really good thing. Obviously, this time for me.
Yeah, that's good. And so, like, what changed? Like, why did you send that message the second time? You just thought?
I was tired. I was tired of constantly going back because I've had enough. I've had enough of kind of almost yo-yoing and basically just trying everything, like everything going. Done it all. I have done everything, and I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to have some sort of balance where I can just kind of bring this into a normal sort of life where it's not like an effort to actually do something. You don't overthink what you're doing at all and just almost enjoy it in a weird kind of way, which I never thought I would say about.
There you go. That's a good thing.
But I was exhausted with trying so hard and getting absolutely nowhere.
Okay.
So,
and like, how did that feel? How did it feel to be in that position? Did you just feel like you couldn't do anything, or anything that you were trying wasn't working, or?
Everything was working. Everything, like the things I was trying, was absolutely working for about a fortnight or month, or quite a lot of the time. I think I managed 6 months or so with some of them, but it was hell. It's not a way to live. Like you can't sit and drink 3 milkshakes a day and eat the smallest portion of dinner and tell yourself you're dead happy when your pals are going out for lunch and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you feel like you're having to say no to everything.
You're sitting with a glass of water and lemon and you're like, what is this? Or drinking some sort of soup that it's not even soup. It's just awful. Like constantly looking on the market to see what's a quick fix, and costs a fortune as well. Like you're just throwing money away. So
and it's very easy to buy into those things because they're quite well marketed for one, and then two, probably the people advertising them, selling them are like in really good shape. So you think, oh well, like if that's working for them, then. But a lot of the time, they probably will help you lose weight, but they're not going to make you, like, one, feel good, or two, you won't be able to do it for any sort of length of time. So that's the obvious downsides to that. What?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So when you started with me, like, obviously I gave you a training program. We sort of set up your food and gave you step goals. Like, what do you think the biggest things changed when you started?
When I started, I can't really say it was too much in the beginning, because obviously I've been through so many different things. I had that usual kind of high when you start something and you think, yes, this is it, I'm going to do this is totally fine, everything's going to be really great. And I thought to myself, you know what, I'm filling out your check-ins here. I feel that I've said some of this before in my life, and you do worry a little bit, but it I don't know, like, I don't know how to describe it, actually, to be totally honest with you.
So obviously, like, so when usually, like, me as a PT, you realize that the more people you sort of see and like coach and stuff like that, people come in like a big high, and they're like really positive, feeling really good, and then it starts here, and then maybe weeks 1, 2, maybe even 3 are probably still pretty high. And then they get to week 4, and then things start dropping because they're like, this isn't like a magic fix. This isn't just like something that is just going to change me straight away. Like, and then they start going down the hill, and then all of a sudden they start maybe seeing some changes in their photos, or people start saying like, oh, you're looking really good, what are you doing? And then gradually it starts to come up again. So it's always like a cycle of change, really, and people will start sky high, feel really, really motivated to start, and then they start going down when they're like, oh, this isn't a magic fix. Like, I'm still gonna have to put in the work, and it's not just gonna happen for me. So would you say it's just been more consistency with it?
Yeah, I mean, what you just said there totally makes sense. I think I was a few weeks out on it though. Like, it took me, I was really high at the beginning, like I said, as we are. Then I took the wee slump, but it wasn't necessarily quite in the middle. I think I was slightly later with it, where it was like, it wasn't that I was like dead high for 6 weeks. It just took me really high. Then I was a bit kind of like floaty. Then I kind of, I think it was 6 or 7 weeks, and then I really, really crashed, and I was like, oh, this is a nightmare. This is hectic. I don't know what's going on anymore. I can't cope with this. But I think that's where the big difference actually hit for me, because that's where it would stop. And I would just be
usually you would stop there.
I can't cope with this anymore. He's mental. It's mental. Everything's mental. I can't do it. But then I think after like coming backwards and forwards again with yourself, it was that kind of way where it was like, no, hang on a minute. There's actually solutions to the kind of way I'm feeling just now. There's reasons behind why I feel like this. And like, I think it was around the time that we maybe tried to bring up my calories down. That just didn't really work for me. But I thought that at that point, that's it. That's the be all and end all. I can't drop them. I can't continue this. I'm going to be like this ever again. And then within 2 weeks, when we sorted out everything kind of where it was, I was like, I'm actually going to do this. This is fine.
You're fine.
It's easy. So
so that's the sort of limit, and that's where if you were doing it by yourself, you might have just given up. But
there's no might. I would have just.
So because you got to that point where you felt like the calories were too low and you couldn't continue to do it, that's where you would have given up. Whereas what we did then is just decided to put them back up a little bit, and we'll take things a little slower. So rather than like going 100%, putting the foot down, rather than really going for it at that time, obviously you were struggling with it. You were still working at that point, I think, weren't you?
Yeah.
And so you're still doing a lot of hours there. You're still starting at what time were you starting at?
4 o'clock in the morning.
4 till
10 o'clock.
4 till 10, and then home to Barry and stuff. So at that point, rather than going even lower and trying to like really push you, what we did is took it up again by, what was it, 150, 200 calories, I think. And then that just put you back, and it, like the check-in. So that check-in where you said you were struggling to stick to the foods, where you were struggling and stuff, we put it back up, and then the next check-in was like completely different. Next check-in was like, training's been really good, much more. You still hadn't got that much energy at that point, but it was on the way back up, and you were feeling a lot better. So like straight away, just that little change of like 150, 200 calories, we knew that that was the limit that you could go. That was getting too low for you, so we put it back up, and then since then you've been back on the ball, haven't you?
Absolutely. Like, I never really, I sing my own praises where it's due. I have been doing absolutely everything that I can, and I feel really good that I'm doing that. I feel every single day I feel stronger. I feel like I can do that little bit more, but I'm also not under the illusion that could go back down again, and that's absolutely fine, because I've realised now that I can actually pick this back up, and it's okay. I'm not going to have an absolute meltdown about it and be like, do you know what? Nah, let's just go and get a big team and not run, or not go and do a week session or whatever. Have a break. If you feel like that, then get back up and get on with it. So that's been a difference for me. Massive.
Because a massive difference for a massive thing that people do is then they get to that point and then they just stop, when really all they needed to do was just reevaluate and either keep going, or maybe like we did, put the calories back up a little bit to give you, it's not going to happen as fast, but it means that you're going to be able to stick to it for a longer period of time. And because your calories are a bit higher, and we move them back up, it just means that you're then able to like add a few extra foods in that you enjoy. You're allowed to have more of a life, rather than just doing this for like 2 weeks and then stopping. So really, really good. So did you struggle to change anything? Was there anything in particular that you struggled to change, like training, diet, obviously not your steps. Do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about your steps?
My steps, when I was working in Tesco's, my steps were anywhere between was it like 23,000, 26,000 some days, and then obviously
Yeah, pretty high.
When I stopped, it was like, oh, these are rubbish, but they're
but they're still
really good.
Yeah.
Like usually over the 15,000 ish. Some days I'm really, really, really low, because that's fine. You can just you don't need to be walking miles and miles. Just get it done. So
it's more the average than like a single day. Like a lot of people might go out and try and do 25,000 in one day, and that's fine. But then it's not great if you feel super tired the next day and then you hardly do 2,000. So obviously you managed to do a lot more because of your job, and like you were started at 4 till 10, and then you've obviously got the rest of the day that you're doing just whatever. But your steps were probably done within that working time anyway. Easy.
Yeah.
What about training and nutrition wise? Did you find anything difficult changing that?
I found it difficult to understand. Like, I know it's not a big focus for a lot of people, but it actually helped me to focus a little bit. I like to know, like for your macros and things like that, what I'm supposed to be eating, because I feel like it keeps me in check. Like you can give calories and you can give them protein, and that's cool. They can stick to that, that's fine. I like to know the rest. I like to know what are the carbs, what are the fats, why do we need to have these levels? Because it helps me almost understand why my body's working the way it is. So I didn't really find that it was difficult. It just took a while to try and adjust to kind of slightly higher protein, which again I've not really struggled having, because I'm used to eating protein anyway, because I've had a wee bit of an idea about what I'm supposed to do, not a massive idea, but a wee bit, and I know it's important. So where some people will probably really, really struggle to eat that much protein, it wasn't a struggle for me. It's still not a struggle for me. I find ways to do it, and it works for me.
And you're consuming what, 160, 170 grams of protein a day?
160.
Yeah, so it's quite high.
It's quite high. I'm quite addicted to protein coffee, right enough. I'm not going to lie. That's totally an easy way to do it. Which
3/4 of the day protein coffee.
I only have one, but there's quite a wee bit of protein in it. So, but it tastes like, if you buy chocolate protein, it's like hot chocolate. It's fine. So that's not been too much a problem. If anything, I've maybe found it slightly easier than some of the things I've done in the past, because I've always felt in the past, if you're not torturing yourself, you're not getting anywhere. And it's really not at all like that. I eat what I want, and maybe just eat slightly less of it. I've actually started to find ways, and I feel like my body kind of tells me a little bit now as well, where, I don't know, just as an example, before I would sit and eat a tub of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and then it'd be like, right, okay, that's your treat, you're done, put it away, it's over, there's your extra cheat, if you want to call it that, whatever. But I'm actually now sitting there and I'm like, do you know what, I actually don't know that I really want that. I could have Halo Top, something like that, and although it's still ice cream, and it's not nothing, it's I don't feel like I'm hitting that crash as hard and things like that after I've had it, because it's not maybe as bad for you as such, and it's got a couple of things that you need. So I'm looking for that a lot more, which I never thought I would say stuff like that. I always thought it would be like, nope, I want the high sugar and I want it now. So we think that, but I'm maybe not like everybody else. I've not struggled too much on that side of things.
That's good though.
The hardest parts, maybe, I can't even say for just now, but time management, I think, is one of the things. I said this to you last week, I think, one of the check-ins. I think when lockdown finishes, being able to just kind of manage my time a little bit more is where the struggle will come in. But then I don't even know that, because I don't know how things are going to be when lockdown is finished. I don't know how school's going to work, how's anything going to work. I don't know, so I'm not panicking too much.
How many days a week did you work like hairdressing before obviously lockdown?
I was 4 days a week, but then obviously having the salon, you're still kind of like popping in and out.
In and out.
If clients kind of wanted me, I was a bit kind of like, right, okay, I'll go in, it's fine, but okay, I'll need to figure something out. And I would always be kind of jumping from here to there and maybe not concentrating so much on myself, but thinking about something else.
Other people, yeah.
But not, because it was easier to do that rather than think about myself. It was much easier to do that. I didn't want to think about myself, so it was fine.
Yeah.
It's, you're almost disguising it down a little bit that that's what you want to do, but really it's because you're thinking to yourself, if I start thinking about myself, where's that going to stop? And that's going to open up a whole load of other stuff, and I don't want to do that. So
when lockdown finishes, you're going to go back to hairdressing?
I'm going to go back to hairdressing, but I've decided that the best thing for me was to give up my salon. I've got much bigger priorities to think about now.
Yeah.
Like, Barry's only going to be 6 years old, obviously, for a year, but he's only going to be little for so long, and he's the top guy. He's like the main priority. Get my time and stuff like that, obviously for myself as well, but he's been brought here for a good reason, so I want to be able to give him everything he deserves. So
and that's totally where it comes, and your priorities might change a little bit. So rather than being able to, because just now you're managing to train like 5, sometimes like maybe 6 times a week, with like added cardio and stuff in. Whereas when lockdown finishes, it might, and you go back to work, it's going to be a lot harder to keep that. So like having priorities, your priority might go from just now like fitness and your health and stuff might be, you might be in a position where you can have that as a slightly higher priority when whereas when work comes back, you might have to lower that, and like that's totally okay. Like that's just life, and you're not like, it's never going to be top of your priorities for like a massive length of time, especially with having Barry there. So like all you do then is just maybe drop your training a little bit, and then what we'd probably do is try and go through, rather than focus on like fat loss, then we'd focus on just maintaining what we've built already, and maybe like increasing our calories to a place where we're at like maintenance, which is basically where you essentially can stay the same weight, but you're going to be then in a much better position, and that'll allow you to like have more calories, so essentially like have more meals out, or like enjoy a lot more food, or maybe a prosecco that you maybe enjoy. And it's just like, so it's not that you're having to diet like all year round, 50 whatever there is in a year, 52 weeks a year. Like it's just being able to, at that point you knew that you could focus on your training, focus on your food, focus on like your health and fitness journey, and therefore like put a period of time in where you can really focus on it. And that's what you've done. You've done that effectively. So then moving forward, it's not that you are not progressing, it's just that the goals have changed a little bit, and then more is you're going to have to obviously go back to work, and you've got Barry there, and there's different priorities that'll take over. So going, like, how do you feel now? Now that we're almost done, I sent you the photos the other day. I think that was Monday, maybe. And there's a big change in them, and I'm going to be posting them soon, I think. So like, how do you feel now? What's changed?
I think the biggest thing is I know how to control it now. Not control is a really strong word. It's not, manage isn't even the right one either. It's like I know what I need to do to kind of stay on track. Even like you're saying about my priorities changing, which they absolutely 100% will. I still know how to keep myself as organised and being able to kind of not diet but maintain like a normality where I'm not creeping my weight back up again really kind of slowly before I really know what's happened. I'm like, oh come on, I'm chunky again, how it happened, sort of thing. I know that all it would actually take is to sit like one Sunday night and write out my wee plans of when I kind of hope I'm going to get a workout, when I'm going to work, when I'm going to like what's going to be for dinners and things like that. When I need to go shopping, it takes 2 hours max to do.
Yeah.
Just to be able to do all that, and I know
But
it
you
only
found
takes
that a massive benefit.
huge, absolutely huge. I hate thinking through the week. I don't have time to think through the week, and I know I don't have time. So if I can just sit for those couple of hours and write all that out, I've got it in pieces of paper. I mean, I've got a book, literally the book that's sitting in front of me, that's got every single workout that I've done in the last 10 weeks, what calories I've eaten, like when I've dropped them down, when it worked, when it didn't, so that I know that I've got a reference point, that if I do at any point think, how am I going to do this? What did I do that was such a miracle last time?
Yeah.
I can just look back to that week and be like, oh, well, that's what I did. And then I'll bring that into the week that I'm actually in and be like, right, okay, I know I'm going for my dinner then, so I can't eat that so much here, so we'll save that here, or I'll do that extra wee burst of sprints or something along the lines of it. Or if I get a week where I just can't be bothered as well, where it's like, do you know what, I'm tired.
Yeah.
But still be able to pick it back up again, or have a busier or knowing what I'm going to do. So being able to manage it like that is definitely going to be a lot easier for me. And I've kind of got, obviously with having worked with yourself, I've got the kind of path outlaid where I can sort of do that. And although as we have discussed, I'm going to kind of carry on training and things like that with you, purely because I don't feel like I'm finished yet. I think I can achieve a little bit more. It's always really good to have somebody who's messaging you going, do you know what, how are you today? Are you all right? Is it all right? Because I think there has been times in the last kind of 11, 12 weeks where I've just been like, do you know what? No, I'm not all right. Why am I not all right? How am I going to get out of this? And then just to have somebody be able to message back going, that's normal. Here's why. This could be the reason. It could be that. It's so much better. It really, really is. And it's always kind of handy to be able to have that, like somebody where you can kind of be just like, do you know what, help me. So even though
100%.
you probably won't, because I know I'm not going to need to do that forever because of my massive note taking that I've taken over the 11 weeks, but just for the time being, for me, it felt like the right thing to do, coming out a lot, knowing that I'm going to have that wee slight kind of maybe wobble or weakness. I might not. I might be absolutely fine.
Be fine.
I've got a feeling I will be, but I don't want to risk it when there's not really any need to risk it. It's and like I do want to progress, so it's the best way to do it. So
that's the thing that I always say to like either new clients I'm getting or just people who like are asking. But like I want people to want to work with me but not need to. So like I think that's like you, this kind of position you're in just now, you've got a much better understanding of where you are, like training wise, diet wise, and what you need to do in order to keep progressing. And it's not that you necessarily need me here, but it's you like you want me here, and it's good in the accountability aspect because you know you've got someone there that you can ask. You know that someone's gonna be asking you like, oh, what happened here? How come you didn't get that done? And stuff like that. And also the big book you've got, the big book of secrets. That's really handy in that you've got everything there. So you can like going forward use that as a reference point. And a big thing that a lot of people do is they don't like track their own weights and stuff. Obviously like you've been doing it via the app as well that I use. And so that I can see what you've done. But it's really handy when obviously the app, but you've written it down as well. You can then look back and see what you've done, because then you know exactly what you did last time. And because you know last time, you know that gives you an aim to improve on. And a lot of people, I think, just go to the gym and they end up just doing the same thing every single week and not really trying to improve it. Whereas if you've got something to beat and you know, like, that's what I got last time, this week I'm gonna try and get that or beat it. And like that one, we talked about this the other week, but that like sort of 1 rep, 2 reps, or that extra 1.25 kilos each side of the bar doesn't seem like much, like 1 week to another. But then 11 weeks on, when you look back to week 1, you've come a long way since that first week. And it's not like it's not like it's a magic fix or something that has just like happened quickly. It takes time to build it up, but it definitely does change over time, as long as you obviously keep track of it and keep progressing to it.
Yeah.
So what are your goals going forward? Do you have any goals in particular?
Yeah. I say this with a giggle because you know quite well what I'm going to say, because it was never achievable, and I'm never say never. I'm going to have abs. I would like to see some abs.
Yeah.
But not because it's what Instagram tells me or anything like that. I've never really been one of these ones that looks at these people and think, I want to look like them. No, I just want to feel good about myself. I want to look and be like, do you know what? I did that. Like over the last wee while, I've seen massive differences, like in the kind of form of my legs and things like that. Like I can see some shape coming in muscle wise and stuff, and I kind of like that. I don't want to end up looking like a bodybuilder or anything, but it's kind of nice to see, and it does give you that kind of, well, here's where I would actually quite like to be. I've got a little bit of work still left to do and to keep going, and I'm not saying I'll even get to that next wee bit and then not be like, do you know what, I'd quite like this next, but that's quite healthy. I think that's a good thing to think, rather than what I would usually think of, how am I going to stop myself being fat again? Do you know, like, like I'm concentrating more on being where I actually want to be without a quick fix and without spending an absolute fortune on it and all that kind of thing. So I would like to see abs, and I would like to kind of, I don't know, I'd like to be able to kind of almost help other people a little bit with it as well. Like quite often I see on like your own Insta and things like that, you want to teach people, you want them to understand, totally understand that. I see lots of people all the time. I've got people in and out my chair, I don't even know how many a day, like it could be up to like 8 people, 9 people a day coming and going, and I hear all the same thing that I've said. So for me to be able to then be like, honestly, I know I've spoke to you all before about my slimming world, lighter life, slimming tablets, whatever. This is really how to do it. And even just to put them, whether it be, obviously I'm going to put them in your direction and things like that, but they might not be ready to go to that kind of place. So even if they can find something as small as finding what calories are meant to be on to help them a little bit with confidence, it would be magic. It would be lovely to be able to bring somebody up a little bit, not just with the way they look with their hair and stuff like that, but their own self-confidence is a nice thing to be able to do as well. So
because that'll really help them as well, like, because if you're obviously sitting doing their hair and that's making them feel a little better, but then there'll still be like that self-doubt inside them, they still feel like they aren't completely happy. So getting them to a place where then they can leave the salon and then like do little things, and then the next time you come back, the next time they come back, they say, oh, I've changed this, I've maybe feeling a little bit better. It's a really good feeling. So that's a good idea.
And I hope it kind of helps me feel that wee bit accountable, obviously, when I'm not with you anymore and things like that, where you're kind of doing it, I'm like, oh, I better just like, I'm slacking down a little bit, you know, I'm going to bring that back up, because I've obviously, I can't let them down either now, because I've started.
Exactly. Now you feel like you're setting an example for other people.
A wee bit, in a weird way, a wee bit.
Yeah, that's cool. So, have you got like any other questions? Is there anything you're not sure of? Is there anything else you want to say?
No, not really. I don't. For the first time in my life, I've actually not got anything to say.
It's speechless.
Basically, if you do as you're told in the beginning until you can manage this yourself, it is achievable. And even if you do think, you know, this is going to take forever and never and ever, it's such a cliche, but you do need to start. If you don't start, it's going to take forever and never and ever. I don't think if you had said to me, this is what your picture will look like in 10 weeks, I would have been like, right, okay. But it certainly wouldn't look like that if I did nothing about it. So you've got to almost be a little bit harsh with yourself and find maybe even somebody who is very close to you who can be a little harsh with you. I had that a wee time back like ages and ages and ages ago, and it hit something with me, and that's how my whole dieting started. So it does stick in my head, but you do need somebody who might just be quite truthful with you.
Yeah.
To do that, but you're not going to get anywhere unless you do start. So kind of suck it up on with.
A lot of it's just about like building up the courage to just like start and do something about it.
There's nobody out there that's going to laugh at you, have a go at you, you with it, as long as you pick the right people. Like, and obviously that's where I'll sing your praise and things like that. There's been times where I've probably questioned things and gone, really? And you're like, yeah, but is that a stupid question? You're like, no. And I'm like, it's a stupid question.
No, it's totally not. If you're thinking it, then the likelihood is that someone else is. Yeah,
definitely. So it's really just a case of get on with it and be good to yourself for a change. Is definitely look at it.
So goals going forward are much more positive rather than I'm hating this. You think I've done this, I've managed this, but now I want to go into this, which is like a massive bonus, because that's really where we want to be doing. We want to be looking at sort of where we're going and our current trajectory, and like where what we're doing right now is going to take us, rather than looking back and thinking, oh, like look how shit I am, look at this,
definitely.
Look what I've not done. The only way you can start sort of improving and making positive changes is to look ahead and think about where you could be and what you're doing right now, and asking yourself if it's getting you to where you want to be. So yeah, any idea when you're back to work? No?
I think between the 9th and the 15th, hopefully. I don't know that it'll be the work that I know and love. I know there's going to be some weirdness about the whole thing. I actually had to go to Glasgow yesterday and I had to travel home with a face mask on the train. It's very warm, it's hard going. So even just something like that, it's going to be tough going for all us hairdressers if we're having to just even wear a mask. Have one client in and out, which again, any of my clients know at any point there could be 3 of them in and I can be bouncing from here to there to every, there's none of that anymore, but I'm hoping that might actually help me to organise still coming back into like that kind of change again. But I go down. I've got no choice, so that could just be the whole new normal, and that's just how I'll end up working forever. So not with a mask on, because that is fierce. So
and where is it you work, so that people can come and see you sing your praises?
Don't bother me now. Now I am joining the girls down in Glow.
That's good. That's exciting.
I can't wait. I have worked with them all before, so they know exactly what they're getting.
They know what to expect.
Totally. No, they're all lovely girls, so I can't actually wait. And I think just the whole different pace of life, the having slightly one less thing to worry about, let me concentrate on what I want to concentrate, what I'm good at and what I enjoy, rather than worrying about everything else around me, is going to make such a big difference. And it'll make such a big difference to everything else, because it's the effect like that everything kind of triggers on from there. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting back, and I'm actually considering going down to England first to go and get my own hair done.
Is it that dramatic?
It's terrible.
Well, this is on YouTube, so if people will be able to see it, but the people listening on the podcast won't, so you're safe there.
Okay.
Cool. I don't think there's anything left other than thanks for coming on. Thanks for sort of sharing everything that you have. Very, very honest. It's not like an easy thing to do, so thanks very much for that.
No, you're welcome.
But yeah, I will speak to you during the week, and have a nice day.
Okay, magic.
Bye-bye.
Bye.